How's it going, everybody? Well, we are just 10 days away from Green Bay Packer football. That's right, only 10 days away from the Green Bay Packers kicking off their 2025 NFL season in Lambeau Field against the Blue Kitties. I will be there, and I am so excited. So for the first time, I didn't do this last year, so for the first time, I'm going to be doing a video on my predictions for the entire Green Bay Packers regular season. I know that I've already put on Twitter kind of my thoughts on the entire season as a whole, the predictions of the entire season as a whole, but I wanted to focus specifically game by game for the Packers. Now, obviously, when I do the pick'ems, like in the pick'em leagues or when I make picks every week, I'm obviously going to pick the Packers every single week. But this here is different. This is what I actually think is going to happen, but that I'm still going to pick the Packers every single week in the pick'em. So I want to make that clear right now. Obviously, a big difference today with the Green Bay Packers with a huge blockbuster trade, getting Micah Parsons, and unfortunately the now departure of Kenny Clark. But the acquisition of Micah Parsons is huge. When I went through all the games, I don't necessarily think it changed any of the games for me. I think that it turned a couple games into maybe coin flips and made it just a little bit closer. But I do think that it does make a big difference, and very well I could be wrong about some of these games now because now we have Micah Parsons. So incredible accusation. Wish Kenny Clark nothing but the best. He'll be a Packer forever in my mind. I love him. Wish him nothing but the best in Dallas. So, without further ado, let's get started. We will start with Week 1 at home against the Blue Kitties. Like I said earlier, I will be there. Uncle John and I will be there. We haven't been to a Packers-Lions game together in Lambeau Field since the last time the Packers beat the Lions in Lambeau, which was Monday Night Football in September of 2021. Hopefully that changes. But this first game, I'm actually going to go with a loss to start the season. Don't go after me here. I just think that it's going to be a rough start for the Packers. It kind of usually is. But I still think that even though the Lions lost their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, I don't think that makes it too big of a difference right away. I still think that they're a high-flying offense. They're going to be coming back healthy. Hutchinson will be back. Everyone's going to be back. So I am going to take this game as a loss. So the Packers will start the season 0-1. All right? Then we go into Week 2, where the Green Bay Packers will host the Commies in Lambeau, Thursday Night Football. It'll be a white-out uniform game, so all whites. I will preface this by saying that I hate Thursday Night Football. I think just like everybody else, unless it's on Thanksgiving. Also, for this game, the Green Bay Packers will be doing a ceremony for Sterling Sharpe, who just got into the Hall of Fame this year, long overdue. I do think this is a win. As long as they can contain Jaden Daniels, I'm not too concerned about Debo. Scary Terry's a little bit of a concern, but I do think that the Packers do come away with a win in Week 2, getting them at 1-1. Week 3, the Green Bay Packers' first game on the road against the Cleveland Browns. I do think this is going to be a win. Unsure who the quarterback's going to be. I know that they're starting with Joe Flacco, but at this point, it could be Shedeur. Who knows? Not too concerned with really anybody on the Browns. I know Jerry Jeudy is there, but I just think overall, I think the Browns are a couple seasons away from really being contenders in a way. An interesting thing, the Packers have won the the last 4 meetings between the Browns are 13-7 all time. That's interesting. I didn't know that. So that should get the Packers to 2-1 after week 3. Heading into week 4, it will be an away game in Dallas. Micah Parsons' revenge game. Sunday Night Football. We all know what happened the last time the Green Bay Packers visited Jerry World. The Green Bay Packers are undefeated at Jerry World, 6-0. 5 of those wins going against the Dallas Cowboys, and obviously the other win being Super Bowl 45 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a win for me. I do think the Packers go into Dallas and win. They seem to have a lot of success there, and I do think that the Cowboys are starting to regress a little bit, especially them losing Micah Parsons is huge. New head coach. I'm not too concerned about Dallas. I do still think that Dak Prescott is a stud. CD's still a stud. Pickens, he might be a problem, but I do think the Packers pull this one away. I don't think it'll be a blowout like the wild card game that apparently has broken Jerry Jones. I do think it'll be a little bit closer, but the Packers do come out of here with a win and improve to 3-1. Bye week 5, not a fan. I'm really not. I do not like the early bye weeks. I think everybody would rather have it right smack dab in the middle, like week 10 or 11. So bye week 5, it's too soon. It's too soon. I'm not a fan of that. So then the Packers will return week 6, a home game against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a loss for me. I think the Bengals offense is extremely good. I think Joe Burrow is easily one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's up easily with Jamar Chase, Higgins. I think this is a loss. I do think that the Bengals defense will improve from last year. I know typically the Bengals have a problem in the beginning of the season, but by week 6 they should be figuring it out. I think this is a loss, and I think this is a pretty rough game in my opinion. I actually think the Bengals could win this game by like double digits. I don't have a good feeling about this one. So I would put the Packers at 3-2. Then we go to week 7. Packers head out on the road, go to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. My mother and brother and aunts will be at this game. So I hope it's a win. I am picking the Packers to win this game. It should be an easy win. I'm pretty confident about that. I think that the Cardinals are getting a little bit better, but Kyler concerns me. He just concerns me. I think he's just struggling too much. They do have Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think is a stud. James Conner, who is very good. I don't trust their defense. I think the Packers come away with a pretty easy win in Arizona, putting them to 4-2 on the season. Then after that, the Green Bay Packers will head back out on the road and head to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. That's right, the first matchup ever against Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers versus Jordan Love. This is going to be a tough game. I struggled with this one. I really did. I've never rooted against Aaron Rodgers before. This time I'm going to do it. I'm giving this one to the Packers. I think it's going to be real close. I think it's going to be a big defensive game. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game at all. I really think it's going to come down to making Aaron uncomfortable. Now, Aaron, in my opinion, is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So if the Packers can get to him, make him uncomfortable, make him leave the pocket, scramble around a little bit, he doesn't move as well as he used to. So if the Packers can make Aaron uncomfortable, they should be able to win this game. If they can sack Aaron 3-4 times, I'm cool with it. But I am so this is the highlight of the season. This game, I am so excited for this game. It's unreal. I cannot wait, and I'm so glad this is Sunday Night Football. I'm going to give the Packers the win here, improving them to 5-2 in what should be, I think it's going to be the game of the year. In my opinion, I think it's going to be the game of the year. So that'll put the Packers at 5-2, heading into Week 9, where the Packers will head back home to play the Carolina Panthers. This is going to be the throwback unis. The Packers will be wearing their 1923 throwback uniforms, which, side note, I love, by the way. I think they're great. I think overall, I think this is a good easy win to kind of bounce back from what's going to be a rough game in Pittsburgh. But I am going to give the Packers a win here. I do think that Bryce Young is improving, and I think he'll have a good season this year. But I just think the pieces aren't there yet, and I think the Panthers are still a couple years away from being legitimate contenders for at least their division. I think this is a pretty easy win for the Packers, putting them to 6-2. Then we will go to Week 10, where it's going to be a home game on Monday Night Football against the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Whew, this is going to be a rough one. A.J. Dillon's going to return to Green Bay after being traded this offseason. Him and Saquon, Jalen Hurts, who I think is very underestimated in this league for some odd reason. I see a lot on Twitter and a lot of videos of people saying that Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. I think that's a dumb take. Jalen Hurts is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Obviously, he just won the Super Bowl. I think this is a loss, man. I really do. I think this is a loss. I think it'll be a little bit close, but I'm not very confident in this one. I think the Eagles go out of Lambeau with a win. So that'll drop the Packers to 6-3. I just think Philly's going to be even better this year than they were last year. And I think they're the most complete team in the NFL. I really do. I think there's a loss for the Packers. So, heading into Week 11, the Green Bay Packers will head to MetLife Stadium to take on the Giants. This should be a win. This should be a win. This should be an easy win. They'll be taking on, I think Russ, or it'll be Jameis. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in New York. I have no idea. I think the only person they really have to worry about is Malik Nabers. I think this is an easy win for the Packers. The Packers struggled the last time they were there, but thank God Almighty, we don't have Joe Barry as our defensive coordinator anymore. So I'm gonna give this one to the Packers, improving them to 7-3. Then we head to Week 12, a home game against Satan. That's right, the Vikings at home. Green Bay Packers playing 5 divisional games near the end of the season is rough. It's rough. It's going to be a gauntlet. But I will say that I'm going to give the Packers the win here. We'll see kind of how J.J. McCarthy is. At this point, obviously, he'll have it figured out or not have it figured out. But we'll at least know kind of what to expect from him. I think all the luck that the Vikings had last year, ran out with Sam Darnold. I don't expect the Vikings to be very good this year, although I said that last year and I was very wrong. So, but I think that we'll see. Again, we'll see how JJ is. Got to contain Jefferson, and do not let Aaron Jones score at Lambeau. Don't do it. Don't do it. I do think this is a win, improving the Packers to 8-3. Packers haven't beaten the Vikings at home in quite a while, so I'd really like to beat the Vikings at home. I don't want them Lambeau leaping into a sea of purple. Let's not do that. Let's not let Satan and evil win, okay? So I'm going to give this win to the Packers, 8-3. All right? Then we will head to Week 13, an away game against the Blue Kitties on Thanksgiving. I'm going to give this one to the Packers. I think it's split with the Blue Kitties this year. Lose at home Week 1, but the Packers win on Thanksgiving. Jordan Love is undefeated at home. He's undefeated at home. Okay? Or undefeated... Sorry. undefeated on Thanksgiving. Jordan Love gonna win again in Detroit. This is gonna be a rough game, but I do think that the Packers pull this out. I think this is going to be a big win and kind of determine the state of the division, because I do think that the Packers and the Lions are going to be like this all year. But I'm going to give this one to the Packers. All right? So the Packers win on Thanksgiving in Detroit, improving to 9-3. Then we have week of 14. The Green Bay Packers will play their first game at home against the Chicago Bears. I might get a lot of hate for this, and it's kind of a spoiler, but I do think the Packers split with the Bears this year. I'm going to give this one to the Packers. I do think they win, coming off of losing to the Bears last year. I feel like the Bears are going to improve. They started improving a little bit at the end of last year. I think at this point, Caleb Williams is going to have this stuff figured out. So I think I'm going to give the Packers the win here. Spoiler, they're going to lose in Chicago, but we'll give this one to the Packers to improve to 10-3. Okay. Then week 15, the Green Bay Packers will head up to Denver to play the Horsies. The Green Bay Packers have not won in Denver since October 29, 2007. And that was the game where Favre threw an 82-yard pass to Greg Jennings, touchdown pass in OT, first play of OT, in 2007. That was the last time the Packers won in Denver. So it's been a long time. And I think that changes in week 15. I think the Packers win. Although I do have to say that the Denver defense is very good. That concerns me. I was really struggling with this one, thinking of how I thought this was going to go. This was kind of a coin flip for me. I can see this one going either way. I'm going to give the win to the Packers, but I could also see a world where Denver does win. I do think that Denver has improved, and I think they're going to continue to improve. I think that there's a good chance that the Broncos could win the AFC West this year. So I think this could be a difficult game, but I am going to give the win to the Packers, improving to 11-3. Then we will go to Chicago, week 16. Like I said earlier, I do think this is a loss for the Packers. I don't think at this point the Bears will really be playing for much, but could be playing for a wild card spot. But I do think that the Bears do win this game. I think it's close, but I'm gonna give this one to the Bears. It's got a bad feeling about this one. So it's a loss to the Bears to drop to 11-4. Then what's going to be another bad thing for the Packers? Week 17, last home game of the regular season, the Green Bay Packers will play the Ravens. Lamar Jackson coming to Green Bay. I think this is a loss. I think there's a really good chance the Ravens are the number one seed in the AFC. I just think the Ravens are too good. Jair, homecoming. Don't know if Jair will play, but because he might be hurt already. At this point in the season, he's probably hurt, let's be honest. But Jair coming back, I just think the Ravens are too good. I really think this would be a really good test for the Packers. If the Packers could come out with a win against the Ravens, I think that speaks volumes, and I think that's huge. But I am going to give this one to the Ravens to drop the Packers to 11-5. And then to end the regular season, week 18, Green Bay Packers heading to the House of Evil, the home of Satan himself, the Vikings. I think this is a win for the Packers. I don't know if necessarily they're really playing. Maybe they might have the division locked down already. Maybe not, depending on how the Blue Kitties are doing. But I am going to give this one to the Packers. Packers, the last time they were in Minnesota, it didn't go well. But the time before that, they blew them out. So the Packers have kind of been flip-flopping in Minnesota. But I am going to give this one to the Packers. I think at this point the Vikings aren't playing for anything. The Vikings, I think, are going to be last in the division this year. So they could just be playing spoiler. Although at this point, I think the Packers at least have a playoff spot locked up. But I do think that the Packers win and end their regular season at 12-5. I think 12-5 is fair. Although, like I said, with the addition of Micah Parsons, a couple of these games could go the Packers' way, especially the Philly game could go better. The Ravens game could go better. Especially with the defense with Micah Parsons, I think it makes a big difference. But I am going to stick with 12-5. I think that's good enough to be the 4th seed in the NFC. So I do think that it is the playoffs again for the Packers. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a video on the particular playoff scenario that I had made with the playoff predictor on Twitter. But I'll kind of decide later on that. You could go check it out on my Twitter if you want to see it. I do have the Packers winning the Super Bowl. So I think 12-5. I think the Packers, big difference this year. I think they win the division. I think they reclaim the division. It's gonna be tough. This is a tough schedule. This is a tough schedule. The AFC North is a tough division. The NFC North has now become a difficult division. The NFC East is a good division. I do think it's a tough schedule. But I do think that the Packers will be fine. 12-5. Again, I think that the floor could be 10-7, but the ceiling could be 14-3. So we'll see. But I am pretty confident that this year the Packers are going to be good, just like they were last year. And I think as long as the Packers can stay healthy, get Christian Watson back, if everybody can stay healthy, Jordan stays healthy this year, it's going to make a big difference. So we'll see. Really excited. We are so close to football, my friends. So very close. So, as always, thanks for watching. Go Pack Go.